Was that in Iran? Where they fired any what was it? What's it called? Anti-aircraft missiles?
Yeah,
At, like, a helicopter?
we already know that Bush has authorized our troops to fire on Iranian advisors, to arrest them, to kill them. And so it's just a short step to have us go bombing Iranian energy sites. You know, they're trying to build nuclear energy sites, and we're concerned they will build nuclear weapons out of those sites. So one of the big problems here is that we know already that Bush isn't exactly concerned about public opinion. So even though the rest of the public doesn't want us to go after Iran, all the steps that we're taking right now are the same steps used in Iraq.
But this time it's actually going to be a war in Iraq.
War in Iran, yes.
Instead of like against terror.
We're going to have a war against a country.
Well, here's the problem. See, back in 2002, in 2002, and you can read this in an interview by Senator Chuck Hagel in Vanity Fair. In 2002, the Republicans brought a resolution to Congress to authorize activity in the Middle East. Originally, the White House wanted to invade the entire region. They wanted to have authorization to go after any country in the Middle East that posed a threat to them. Now, Congress said, no, you can't do that. Only Iraq. But we already know from the first draft of the resolution that the entire Middle East was the target. I mean, we already know, for instance, that in 2001, on January 30th, the National Security Council got together and said, how can we go invade Iraq? And the first idea was to float a plane by the UN over Iraq so they would shoot it down, then we could declare war on it. So we've already seen this working out. So that's why I expect by the summer of 2007, we will most likely be attacking Iran, which means that we'll be impeaching Bush in a week after that.
Oh, man. If that happens, like exactly that, I'm coming back here and I'll be like, that's pretty good.
Wait, take his class again.
Yeah. Oh man, it's nice. What's going to happen to me?
We have Johnson and Clinton.
Clinton?
Yes. Clinton was impeached, yes.
Yeah,
So he was not removed from office, but he was impeached.
I did not have to.
And this guy Nixon was
It's
going to
gonna
be
be-
Yeah, like he resigned. So here's the basic problem. Obviously, we're on a march to attack Iran. The rest of the country just likes it. The Congress is trying to prevent that from happening, but I am betting it will happen.
But didn't you say once Bush can send soldiers for up to 6 months? And
Yeah, but see, that's a different issue. Under the War Powers Resolution, passed in I think 1977, or 74 actually, the president can send troops abroad, like say Russia attacks us tomorrow. Well then the president can send troops over to Russia to defend the country, then he has to go to Congress to justify that this is right, after 6 months. But in this case, the US and Congress is saying to Bush, do not attack Iran, don't even think about it. This is not part of the original resolution. I mean, when we authorized you to attack Iraq in 2002, there were only really 4 reasons to do it. First, the election is right around the corner, the midterm elections. And so many Democrats were afraid that if they didn't authorize the attack, they would lose their seats. Second, you had a real concern about 1991. Because in 1991, we also attacked Iraq, to get out of Kuwait, but that was a huge victory. Bush's approval rating, the first Bush, they went up to 91%. So they were concerned that, well, if we don't side with Bush now, we'll be unpopular. Then you had the other basic fact that when Bush tried to get authorization, he promised it would be a last resort. Well, he was misleading Congress at the time. It was actually a first resort for him. So we've got all the procedures that happened in Iraq now happening with Iran. And so this is why the next debate is about Iran. Should we promote diplomacy, or should we just go and attack them?
But what would be the reason of attacking them if they're a democracy?
Basically.
Nuclear weapons.
But they're a democracy. The reason we wanted to prevent Iraq
It's because it wasn't a democracy.
because they weren't a democracy.
Yeah.
Why should we have
Now that's pushing the
nuclear
issue.
weapons and they can't?
It's picking a fight.
Well, the It's not a question of why can we have nuclear weapons but they can't. The right question is, how do you responsibly use nuclear weapons? There are only 8 nuclear powers in the world right now. The US,
Russia.
Great Britain, France, China, Russia, Israel, Pakistan, and India.
No, Germany, I thought Germany would.
Pakistan?
No, Germany has no nuclear weapons.
Japan doesn't have it?
Nope.
What, you said Japan had.
All they
Japan-
robots and stuff ain't got no nuclear weapons?
Right.
Japan was
It's
bombed
crazy.
by us,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
but they don't have it. So there are only 8 nuclear powers, and out of those 8 nuclear powers, we're the only ones who've ever used them. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, 1945.
That's the only time they will ever use in ever.
Exactly, ever.
Ever.
So considering how many nuclear weapons there actually are in Pakistan and India and Russia and the US, it's actually pretty good that they've never been used.
What was the one tested in North Korea? Was it an A bomb?
No, that was an atomic bomb, yes, tested in North Korea. But it was a test, it was not an actual